You're watching Headlines 24. I'm Shahana Khan with you. The meeting of the Executive Committee of All India Muslim Personal Law Board was presided over by Maulana Rabi Hassan Nadwi at Darul Uloom Nadwatul Ulama on Sunday. The meeting discussed issues and cases related to Muslim personal laws, which saw the participation of prominent members, including Sayyid Muhammad Rabi Hasni Nadwi, Arshad Madani, Fakhruddin Ashraf, Professor Sayyid Ali Naqvi, Khalid Saifullah Rahmani, General Secretary Asaduddin Owaisi, Khalid Rashid Farangi Mahli. Highlights of the meeting and some of the resolution passed unanimously were as follows: an appeal to the highest authorities to put in place stringent measures to control hatred that was being spread across the country before irreparable damage is done to the fabric of our nation's harmony. Members reiterated that centuries India has thrived on the strength of the integrity among its population that comprises innumerable religions, castes, and factions, upholding thus the values vested in our constitution. Law makes the human society civilized and, on the other hand, takes to task all despites and troublemakers in order to do justice to the persecuted. Law is a ray of hope for justice. Lawlessness steeps society into anarchy. Thus, whether the ruler or public minorities or those in majority, incumbent government or the opposition, affluent or the impoverished, lawlessness steeps society into anarchy. Thus, whether the ruler or public minorities or those in majority, the incumbent government or the opposition, affluent in the impoverished, it is mandatory for all to follow the rule of law and not to take law in their hands. Unfortunately, lawlessness is prevailing in the country and attempt it to implicate the accused even before the prosecution and litigation take their course. Houses built for decades are getting razed. Those holding peaceful demonstration for framed under the most stringent of law and put behind them bars definitely lawlessness, whether on the part of the citizens or the rulers. It commendable of all the citizens and stakeholders must oppose it strongly. The tenets of equality, justice, and freedom enriched in the Constitution are to be safeguarded responsibly by the government and the judiciary. Hence, it is an appeal to the judiciary to take a serious note for injustice being meted out to the weaker section of the society and the minorities and thus fulfill their responsibility. Judiciary is the last hope for the public. No bigger misfortune can there be than disappointment on the front. The fundamental rights comprises a giving full freedom of all citizens, implementing a uniform civil code. All deprived citizens of the privileges provided to them by personal laws, and that is against the spirit of Constitution. Such a code is neither relevant nor beneficial for a multi-religious, multicultural and multilingual country like India. If taking advantage of its majority in parliament, the ruling government passes and puts into effect the Uniform Civil Code, it will affect the unity and harmony that bind the nation. It will hinder the country's progress and will not bear any fruitful results either. This meeting of the board, which represents Muslims and their various schools of thoughts, appeals of the government not to pursue this agenda. Instead, they should focus on the present issues of the country is facing. Places of Worship Act 1991 was established by the Government of India after being passed in the Parliament. Hence, it is the duty of the Government of India to ensure its proper implementation. It is the national interest, otherwise it could lead to endless differences among various religious groups. The government must not surrender to the separatist powers and should responsibly safeguard the legal interest of all. Waqf are religious properties established by Muslims for the welfare of the community. Therefore, it is important to use them only for that purpose. It is unlawful for any citizens or government to grab Waqf properties. The AIMPLB strongly opposes statement by some public representatives instigating actions to deprive Muslims of their Waqf properties and appeals to the government to beware of such actions. The board advises Muslims to take best and most responsible care of Waqf properties. They are also advised to use the Waqf properties as much as possible for educational purposes. In view of the circumstances prevailing, AIMPLB appeals to Muslims to establish more and more educational institutions to ensure that the religious and cultural values are preserved and thrive. Islam means surrender to God. Thus, it is the basic duty of all Muslims to follow religions and it believed by the book. Justice should be meted out to the women of the community, best care given to the elders, and there should be abstinence and from the ostentatious expenses at wedding. Muslims should resolve their issues by turning first to the religious heads for advice. Intoxication, adultery, interest, homosexuality, and continuing to live with divorced spouse for practices that do not benefit a true Muslim, not are enforced by the country's law. Niknaama authorized by the AIMPLB must be used to seal a matrimonial alliance. In the board's Niknaama, rights and duties of husband and wife are enumerated with clarity and thus they cut out incidents of dispute or divorce. Thus, disputes can be resolved with minimum time, effort, and money. Religion and faith are matters to believe and conscience. Hence, decision to follow the religion is natural. Constitution as this is for a fundamental right and everyone for freedom to follow a religion of his choice. It is unfair to use force or money to influence an individual in this matter. However, in many states, laws have been made as a deprived citizen of this very basic right. This is totally unacceptable. Yet, those who willingly choose to switch from one religion to another are free to do so.
ये ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल बोर्ड की वर्किंग कमेटी की मीटिंग है और इसमें मुख्तलिफ मसाइल पर गौर करने के लिए हम लोग बैठे हैं। यह मौजू भी है कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इस मुल्क के लिए जिसमें मुख्तलिफ मजहब मुख्तलिफ फिलकत के लोग बसते हैं, क्या उनके लिए यह काबिल अमल है, क्या उनके लिए यह मुनासिब है। इसमें ये मौजू भी है कि ख़वातीन की ज़िंदगी को कैसे और बेहतर बनाया जाए और समाजी ज़िंदगी में उनकी हिस्सेदारी किस तरह बढ़ाई जाए। बोर्ड ने इस वक्त अपनी तमाम कमेटियों में ख़वातीन को शामिल किया है। इसमें वक्त का मौजू भी आएगा कि हम वक्त की कैसे हिफाजत करें और किस तरह वक्त का मुसलमानों के और गरीबों के तालीमी और फलाही कामों के लिए इस्तेमाल करें। तो बस इतना ही मुझे अभी कहना है। अभी ये मीटिंग चल रही है, ये बाद में आप सब लोगों को इंशाअल्लाह प्रेस नोट भेज दी जाएगी।